On today's preview, we have the small matter of a North London derby. Both teams have been rather woeful this season, but bragging rights are a must. Can Alex and I bring the stats, form, lineups without fighting, as well as the tactical analysis from each of the enemy's camp? All of that coming up now. Welcome back to another Premier League preview. I am Gary and joined as usual by Alex, and it is a massive game on the horizon. It's a game that is very dear to Alex and I's heart because it gives us multiple heart attacks leading up to the game and during the game, and that is the North London derby that's just happening this Sunday at 4:30 at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Massive game, which Arsenal and Tottenham have been all season. Where are they in the league, Alex?
So to add a little bit more spice to this game, they're currently only separated by 1 point. Arsenal are currently on 50 points, whereas Tottenham currently have 49. Now, both of them are going to be pushing for that 5th place where Manchester United are, but they currently have 55 points. And let's be honest, Manchester United don't look like they're slowing down anytime soon. As a matter of fact, they've just scored as we speak.
Not giving us much hope at the moment.
Yeah, the wheels are very much turning with Ollie at the wheel.
Do you think if we say it enough times, they'll get cursed again?
I feel like United fans no longer do that chant because it's scarred them. They're like, it's a juju chant now. They can't do it.
Yeah. But yeah, that Europa League, Champions League, ambition is out of the window. We just got to settle for whoever can get one of the last couple Europa League spots left, I think. So what do you think form wise for Tottenham? How has it been?
So they've won 2, drawn 2 and lost 1, which on the face of it doesn't sound too bad. But if you've actually watched these Tottenham games, firstly, wow, you are committed because they are dreadful to watch. They haven't been playing that well. It's been quite defensive. They haven't been creating a lot of chances. I think Kane's been a better defender than he's been an attacker in these games.
That's true.
Maybe it's a new position. Maybe we're going to have Dyer and Kane at the back for next season. But I would say I'm quite worried coming into this game because we've lacked a spark, we've lacked fight, and even though the form points-wise doesn't look too bad, as I say, if you actually watch the games, it doesn't look too good for Tottenham.
No, I know, but that's the thing with the North London derby. It is usually the team that is free-falling before the game that probably puts up the best fight and probably nicks the game, which is what scares me a little bit with Tottenham, because even I've committed to watching Tottenham just to scout ahead how they're doing before the game, and it's been a terrible watch. Arsenal, on the other hand, at the beginning of the return to football, were absolutely free-falling and then meltdown, losing to Man City and to Brighton. But they have won the last couple of games. They only drew to Leicester City the other day, which if they won, that would have been 4 wins on the bounce. And that would have been a great bit of confidence going into this game. But you never know with a North London derby coming up. You can get red cards all over the place. So we've got some stats coming up on the screen. Anything from the stats that you've seen pop out?
I tell you what, on the face of it, it looks like it's going to be a brilliant game, right? If you look, both teams like to create as many chances as they can. They've both got a lot of shots per game. Both of them like to concede shots as well.
It's a betting man's dream, this game, really. Like, if you can bet on yellow cards, red cards, shots conceded, goals conceded, you go for it. Do what you want.
Or a bookie's dream when it ends up being 0-0.
Yeah.
Although that can't be ruled out, to be honest with you, because both teams looking at the stats, and we actually was able to have a look to see what they were doing just before the breakdown. They've actually both improved defensively, and I think you can actually see that in the game. They've actually both been trying to stop the goals being conceded and then try and work going forward.
Yeah, I'd say on Arsenal's side, Arsenal have a lot more structure than they did at the beginning of the season. They don't seem to be getting caught totally out of position ever since Man City and Brighton. So I'm just talking about their form in recent games. But talking like a classic Arsenal fan, that I probably jinxed them straight away, and we're probably going to concede straight away. So, are there any injuries or suspensions for Tottenham leading up to the North London derby?
Yes, so Eric Dyer, the FA have finally decided to pull their finger out and given Eric Dyer a 4-match suspension following him diving into the crowd after Tottenham's FA Cup
A
exit.
very delayed suspension.
I think because Dyer's actually played quite well since the break, I actually think the teams that we have played, they might feel a little bit upset that it's taken them so long. They could have potentially been in a situation where Tottenham could have been weaker without Dyer. So I'd be maybe be a little bit upset seeing how long it took them to make that decision, and then seeing they've given him 4 games.
It's kind of weird because I still think your best centre back partnership is Alderweireld and Vertonghen, and you're starting to play that now, as well as Eric Dyer's played. You guys have not seemed that defensively strong as a team as a whole. So I don't know. I think Arsenal fans wouldn't have minded Eric Dyer playing this one. They probably wanted to appeal that suspension that FA gave.
I'm going to disagree with you there, and I'll tell you why. This season, our strongest partnership has probably been Dyer and Alderweireld. Vertonghen, I think maybe age is catching up with him a little bit. He looked good against Bournemouth, but he looks a bit slow. My worry would be Sanchez playing. I feel like Sanchez has got a mistake in him. So if I was an Arsenal fan, which thank Jesus, I have a brain, I'm not. But if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be praying that Sanchez is on the team sheet. But let's move on to other injuries. Ali's got a small thigh injury, so he's a doubt. And Foyth and Tanganga are still out. And it's worth mentioning that both Lo Celso and Aurier, they were both subbed off in the Bournemouth game. Before they were subbed off, they both were either holding their arm with Aurier, or Lo Celso was holding his ankle. So there might not be an injury there, but it's worth noting that they were feeling some discomfort and they were subbed off a little while later. So potentially doubts there, but it's too early. The game's just finished, so it's too early to say.
Yeah, Dele Alli is a big one. I think from an Arsenal fan's point of view, you would want him to miss the game because he's obviously got quality. But players like Dele Alli, who's a little shit. He is annoying, but he is the type of player that makes a North London derby, because he'll get into it with other players, and it'll be interesting to see a North London derby with no fans. So you need those type of players in there.
Yeah, 100%. Is there any updates with Arsenal? Did Guendouzi get suspended for grabbing that guy around the throat? I'm wondering. Nope. I don't know. Oh, we didn't. I didn't know that.
No, he didn't get. No. The only suspension.
Nice consistency, FA. Nice one. We shouldn't have done this straight after the Bournemouth game. I'm upset about how bad we played. Carry on with Arsenal's injuries.
Well, Guendouzi's suffering an internal suspension because he's at odds with Mikel Arteta. I think Mikel Arteta probably doesn't like the way that Guendouzi acts publicly as well. Just doesn't like that sort of behavior, probably. Other than that, real suspensions, we've got Eddie Nketiah, who is currently serving a 3-match ban for his sort of straight red card against Leicester, which Arsenal have appealed, but probably will not get that rescinded. Other notable injuries are Bernd Leno is out for the season. Gabriel Martinelli is also out for the season with a knee injury. And you have Callum Chambers who's out as well. But Pablo Mari has been out for this season after injuring himself against Man City. But other than that, clean bill of health.
So Luiz is fit. I think if Sanchez and Luiz starts, we're looking at a 5-5.
I was upset. I wanted David Luiz to charge into the crowd against Leicester, even though there's no fans. Just the FA go and suspend him just to even things up with Tottenham. So let's get into some predicted lineups. This is fascinating to see the enemies line up going into this game. What have Tottenham got in store for Arsenal?
So it's worth noting that against Bournemouth, Tottenham actually rested Son, or certainly didn't start Son. So I think he'll be back in the lineup. But let me start from the back and work our way forward. I think the goalkeeper will be unchanged with Lloris, and I think he'll keep the back 4 the same.
Mm-hmm.
I think with Dyer out, I think he'll keep Davis as left back, Vertonghen and Alderweireld as a centre back pairing, and Aurier on the right. Again, that's assuming that he hasn't picked up an arm injury of sorts and he'll be unable to play. But he seemed fine after his fall. It was an awkward fall against Bournemouth that caused him to be in discomfort. In midfield, I think it's going to go over midfield three. If Lo Celso is fit, he will play, and it'll be Lo Celso, Winks, and Sissoko.
Right.
Which hurts me because I want Ndombele in. I want him on. I want him playing. His positivity and his ability is exactly what Tottenham are missing. But
it's probably not the right game for him to play, though.
Probably not. But I've said for the last few games that I reckon Ndombele will start this game, and he hasn't. So I can't keep banging my head against that same wall. I think Son will be on the left, Kane up top, and on the right, Moura. Both of them didn't start the game. They come off the bench, and I think the reason for that is they're probably going to start against Arsenal in the North London derby.
Right. So you've got rotation in mind. The thing is with Arsenal, we played a couple of days before, recording on a Thursday, and the game's on Sunday. So rotation's probably not as big of an issue for Arsenal. That's why my team is very similar. I think it's identical to the lineup that Arsenal faced Leicester with, because Eddie Nketiah got that suspension, and I felt like he was going to come into the side for Tottenham because he is good at pressing the opposition defenders. You guys who don't know, it is Martinez in goal. Right back, actually, I'm going to change it last second. Right back, I'm going Cedric Suarez instead of Hector Bellerin, actually, even though you want someone like Hector who understands what the North London derby is all about. Back three of Mustafi. I could hold my breath there every time he touched the ball. David Luiz too, and Kolasinac. I've never gone into a game feeling so unconfident about a back three. And Kieran Tierney as the left wing back. And it's going to be Xhaka and Ceballos in midfield. Both of them been playing exceptionally well in midfield. You would have thought that at the beginning of the season, really. And up front, I'm going Aubameyang on the left, Lacazette up front, and Bukayo Saka on the right wing, who's been in good form. So that's my lineup.
Oh, you're forgetting Michael Oliver.
Any help we can get, I'll take. I don't care.
Yeah, it's fine. He's got previous. I think we've shot ourselves in the foot because Mourinho slagged him off a little after the Sheffield United game. He was in the VAR room when he said Moura handballed it.
Right. Yeah.
Which, to be honest with you, I think that's probably a good decision by him. The rule is stupid. But it's probably a good decision by Michael Oliver. But he was also in the VAR room when Kane was pushed from behind against Bournemouth. So
he's probably didn't like you guys after that comment. But you got to be lucky we don't have Mike Dean. There'll be 3 red cards each because he hates both of us.
Yeah, you don't know which way he'll go.
Just terrible all round. So now that we know the predicted lineups for each team, let us go into the tactical pad and figure out how each team will set up to win.
So I think number one priority for Mourinho during this game is going to be to try and not concede. And I think to do that, he's going to employ similar tactics to what he used against Manchester United. So when they're attacking or when they have the ball, you'll see them in a back four. But I think as soon as Arsenal get the ball, which we'll probably see them have the ball a lot more than Tottenham, you're going to see Moura as Tierney bombs down the left. You're going to see Moura tracking back to the point where he's now it's a back 5 for Tottenham, as you can see there. The midfield are also going to drop deep. And what they're going to try and do is create 2 compact lines of defence that will be very hard for Arsenal to break down. I think that's what they're going to try and do to stop Arsenal scoring. To try and get goals themselves, I think they're going to try and counter via Son and Moura. I think they're going to attack the channels, as that would be the best possible place to try and exploit Kolasinac and Mustafi with their pace. And I think that's where they're going to try and get their goals. But I would not be surprised if this is a game where Arsenal dominate possession and Tottenham do try to hit them on the counter.
Well, yeah, no, I agree. I think for us, Arsenal, I'm quite concerned for Son, our right flank here, because Mustafi, and I'm not really sure about Cedric in terms of his turn of pace, and Ceballos is not really the greatest defender as a midfielder. So, for here, Son, he can do a lot of damage in between these three players. He can go off the shoulder of Mustafi. He can go in between Mustafi and Cedric to get down the wing and sort of feed Harry Kane. And on this side, we've been playing Kolasinac as a left centre back. He's not really comfortable there, but he's doing a job there. And Mora, if he turns in onto his left foot, I'm just not so sure about Kolasinac defending that. I mean, and then you just got to run into David Luiz, who is, of course, a red card in awaiting in the North London derby. So, yeah, a lot of things to worry about from an Arsenal perspective as well. Now, for Arsenal, I've got Arsenal in their 3-4-3 formation. And I think for North London derby, I think Mikel Arteta will be very keen to deploy his high press, which, Arsenal have been working very hard on, and it has shown a bit of success since Arsenal's return to football. I think in a game which is super tight, like a North London derby, I think we're going to emphasize a lot on this high press. And as an example, I've got Tottenham in possession, in defense. Alderweireld has it, and Aubameyang, he's going to come and shadow on the right of Alderweireld and sort of press him on this side. And you're going to have Xhaka push up to Sissoko, Ceballos push up to Lo Celso, and Cedric and Tierney up on the fullbacks as well. And as the ball comes over here to Vertonghen, I think Lacazette will shadow Winks just to make sure that the pass can't go straight to the midfield. And then we're going to try and pounce on someone like Vertonghen or using Lacazette and Saka and really try and get the ball and intercept the ball in Tottenham's own half to create as many chances as we can. Other than that, I think it might be a very, very cagey game where, both teams will try to not make a mistake. And I think Arsenal in possession over here, they've got all these triangles set up to try and pass it around, basically have a set structure to keep passing the ball around here and build up play slowly without making too many risky passes, which we saw against Wolves, and we managed to win. Other than that, I can see David Luiz being a crucial player if he doesn't get a red card. But his long diagonal passes when Aurier is occupied by Aubameyang, he can spray it out to Tierney and sort of create an overload over here, or even having someone like Lacazette go down here and having Aubameyang take some of these balls down the middle and try and make use of David Luiz's good long passes, which we know he's good at.
I think the thing that worries me more than anything is the big battle, or not necessarily the big battle. It's almost a lazy battle because Aubameyang doesn't like to track back, and Aurier, I mean, he likes to defend, he just doesn't do it very well. And I think that's going to be a really key battle. And the thing that worries me is that if you give Aurier space, that 1 in 10 times he might punish you. He's got an okay final ball. But Aubameyang, 9 times out of 10, if you give him that space, he will punish you. Yeah. And I think that might be the decider right there, is who ends up giving the other space to create. And as I say, if it's Aubameyang, you really don't want to give him too many chances because he will take them.
He's our most clinical player. I'm hoping he can do something because I think this game's going to be super tight. I don't think there's going to be a lot of chances, really. As much as the stats suggest that both teams are woeful at defending, I think both teams are going to be very cautious.
Yeah, I definitely. And as I say, I think quite quickly the game will settle into the point where I think Tottenham will probably press just past the halfway line. So I think we'll probably see within the first 10 minutes how the game is going to play out for the rest of the game, assuming that there's not a few early goals.
Yeah. So now let's get into some of the score predictions. Oh my gosh. On a scale of 1 to 10, how scared are you for Tottenham? And I'll tell you how scared I am for Arsenal coming into this game.
I'm not scared for Tottenham because it's because we have Mourinho. And my prediction, mixed in with my fear, is that it's going to be a 1-1, maybe a 0-0. If you score early, I'm petrified.
Right. I
My
know something
arsehole is dropping.
controversial is going to happen in this game. Something deeply controversial.
I've already been over what Mike Oliver have done to Tottenham Hotspur Football Club in the past few games.
Thing is, if Tottenham lose, you won't even notice because Mourinho will be having a meltdown. The whole world will be looking at Mourinho, not Tottenham.
You can't rule out Mourinho trying to roundhouse Mikel Arteta as well.
I don't think Mourinho's fit enough to pull off
I
a
didn't say he
maneuver
would
like
do it well, did I? Open your fucking ears. I said he will try and fail.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, if Arsenal score early, I'm petrified. But I think Tottenham's first priority will be to not concede, and so I'm going to go over 1-1, maybe a few goals late on.
I'm kind of scared because talking about being scared. I don't know. Arsenal have played this 3-4-3 formation for a couple of games, five games, I think, and I don't know. I feel like Mourinho will get into his little black book of tactics and just analyze it and just how to press and park the bus at the right time to really frustrate Arsenal. And I think Arsenal are the type of team that you can bait them into making a mistake, making them feel like they're on top and just hit them on the counter attack. That's where I'm scared. But score prediction, I think it's going to be 2-2. I think it's going to be 2-2.
You've gone with a Desmond.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be really tight. I think the game's going to be really tight, but like it's going to take a while for there to be a goal, but then a goal will be scored on each side, and then both teams will scramble and then somehow score another goal each. But I don't think there's going to be a lot of chances created.
Yeah, I think the best way to explain this game is by having that Flintstone, the one where you knock it against the other stone and a fire starts. And what you're doing is you're doing that on a haystack. And you could do that for the whole game, right? And it might not ignite. It might not happen. But I tell you what, if one of those little ambers ignites, and by that, I mean, if someone scores, it's just going to go and it is going to go absolutely mental.
Yeah, I am looking forward to seeing Mourinho, what he does on the touchline, because I know it's going to be magical and very deeply frustrating. But that's what did you give your score prediction?
1-1.
1-1. Okay, that is our score prediction. You know that Alex and I will have heart attacks during the game, as I'm sure you guys will too. So until the next game.
Oh, but for the neutrals, you're going to enjoy that. It's usually a very good game, so get your teeth into it.
Yes, let us know what your predicted lineups are and score predictions in the comments below. See you later.